Picture this scenario. You wake up feeling groggy and immediately reach for that steaming cup of coffee. Within minutes, you feel more alert and ready to tackle your day. But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent morning ritual is actually triggering a complex hormonal cascade that could be sabotaging your stress levels for the entire day? Today, we're diving deep into the shocking connection between your morning coffee and your stress hormones that most people have never heard about. I'm going to reveal how that first sip of coffee creates a domino effect in your endocrine system that goes far beyond just waking you up. We'll explore the surprising timing factors that determine whether your coffee becomes a stress reliever or a stress amplifier. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to optimize your coffee consumption to work with your natural hormone cycles instead of against them. Let's start with what actually happens in your body the moment caffeine enters your bloodstream. When you drink coffee, your adrenal glands immediately begin pumping out cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your body already has a natural cortisol rhythm called the cortisol awakening response. This built-in system is designed to help you wake up naturally by gradually increasing cortisol levels in the early morning hours. The problem occurs when you add caffeine to this already elevated cortisol state. You're essentially hitting the gas pedal when your stress response system is already accelerating. This creates what researchers call cortisol stacking, where your stress hormone levels spike far higher than they would naturally. The result is that jittery, overstimulated feeling that many coffee drinkers know all too well. But the plot thickens because cortisol doesn't work alone. It has a complex relationship with other hormones, including insulin and adrenaline. When cortisol levels surge from that morning coffee, it triggers your liver to release stored glucose into your bloodstream. This blood sugar spike then causes insulin levels to rise as your body tries to manage the sudden glucose influx. Meanwhile, adrenaline joins the party, creating that fight-or-flight sensation that can leave you feeling anxious and on edge. Now let's talk about timing, because this is where most people go wrong. Your natural cortisol levels are highest between 6 and 9 in the morning. This is your body's way of preparing you for the day ahead. If you drink coffee during this peak cortisol window, you're adding fuel to an already blazing fire. The scientific evidence suggests that consuming caffeine when cortisol is naturally high creates unnecessary stress on your system and can lead to increased tolerance over time. Here's a fascinating discovery that might surprise you. Studies have shown that people who wait to drink coffee until their cortisol levels naturally begin to decline around 10 in the morning experience better sustained energy and less of that afternoon crash. This timing strategy allows your natural awakening mechanism to do its job while using caffeine as a strategic boost when your body actually needs it. But there's another layer to this story that involves your sleep quality and something called adenosine. Throughout the day, a chemical called adenosine builds up in your brain, creating that tired feeling. Coffee works by blocking adenosine receptors, which is why you feel more alert. However, if you're drinking coffee too early or too late in the day, you can disrupt this natural sleepiness signal and interfere with your nighttime sleep quality. Poor sleep then creates a vicious cycle, because when you don't get adequate rest, your cortisol rhythm becomes disrupted. You wake up with elevated stress hormones and feel like you need even more coffee to function. This creates a dependency loop where you're constantly chasing energy instead of naturally maintaining it. The individual variation factor is crucial here, because not everyone metabolizes caffeine at the same rate. Some people are fast metabolizers, who can drink coffee later in the day without sleep disruption. Others are slow metabolizers who feel jittery from even small amounts of caffeine. Your genetics play a significant role in determining how coffee affects your stress hormone response. Let me share some practical strategies to optimize your coffee consumption for better hormonal balance. First, consider delaying your first cup until at least 90 minutes after waking. This allows your natural cortisol awakening response to peak and begin declining before you introduce caffeine. Second, pay attention to your total daily intake, because consuming more than 400 milligrams of caffeine can keep your stress hormones elevated throughout the day. The quality of your coffee also matters more than you might think. Coffee beans contain compounds called polyphenols that have anti-inflammatory properties. However, If you're adding sugar cream or artificial sweeteners, you're potentially negating these benefits and creating additional blood sugar fluctuations that stress your hormonal system. Here's something most people don't consider. The temperature at which you drink your coffee can influence how quickly caffeine is absorbed. Very hot beverages are absorbed more rapidly, which can create a more dramatic spike in stress hormones. Allowing your coffee to cool slightly can provide a gentler, more sustained release of caffeine. Hydration plays a critical role in this equation because caffeine has mild diuretic effects. If you're not properly hydrated, your body perceives this as additional stress, leading to further cortisol release. Making sure you're well hydrated before and after drinking coffee can help minimize this stress response. The context in which you drink coffee also influences its hormonal impact. Consuming coffee during stressful situations like checking emails or rushing to work amplifies the stress hormone response. Creating a calm, mindful coffee ritual can actually help counteract some of the negative hormonal effects. For those dealing with chronic stress or adrenal fatigue, the relationship between coffee and stress hormones becomes even more complex. When your adrenal glands are already overworked, additional caffeine can push them further into exhaustion. In these cases, reducing coffee intake or switching to lower caffeine alternatives might be necessary for hormonal recovery. Interestingly, some studies suggest that regular moderate coffee consumption can actually improve your body's stress response over time. The key word here is moderate, because excessive intake has the opposite effect. Finding your personal sweet spot requires paying attention to how you feel both immediately after drinking coffee and throughout the day. Green tea presents an interesting alternative because it contains caffeine, but also includes an amino acid called theanine, which has calming properties. This combination can provide energy without the same level of stress hormone activation that coffee produces. The bottom line is that coffee isn't inherently good or bad for your stress hormones. It's all about timing, quantity, quality, and individual tolerance. By understanding how caffeine interacts with your natural hormone cycles, you can transform your morning coffee from a potential stressor into a tool that supports your overall well-being. Start by experimenting with delaying your first cup and paying attention to how your energy levels respond throughout the day. Notice whether you feel more sustained energy and less afternoon fatigue. Track your sleep quality and morning mood to see if adjusting your coffee timing makes a difference. Your morning coffee doesn't have to be sabotaging your stress hormones. With the right approach, it can actually work in harmony with your body's natural rhythms to support optimal energy and well-being throughout the day.